Good evening, podcast world, and those out there on Facebook Live. What time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me? Can you say hey?
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Got another one of our fantastic young people out here doing some things. And Taylor, we're going to read your bio, and then we're going to ask you a few questions. Let you tell us your story.
All right, then let us welcome Taylor L. Ester. She is an associate of the Miller Law Firm at the Miller Law Firm. Her practice currently focuses on complex commercial litigation and probate matters. Ms. Esther graduated from Howard University in 2017, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science with a minor in Administration of Justice. She went on to attend Wayne State University Law School as a Daymond J. Keefe Scholar. I'm going to ask you about that one. While at Wayne, she participated in the public service and judicial externship programs, achieved first runner-up in the JAF Transactional Law Competition, served as vice president of the Black Law Students Association, and was selected to be the inaugural Denise Lewis Fellow, a role which allowed her to establish a program geared towards promoting excellence and mentorship for students of color. Taylor also clerked for the Honorable Gershon A. Drain and Magistrate Judge Elizabeth Stafford at the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan. Ms. Esther graduated from Wayne State University Law School in 2021. Taylor is a native Detroiter with strong ties to her community. She is an active member of the Wolverine Bar Association, Oakland Bar Association. These are two organizations dedicated to service and promoting excellence within the legal community. She is also an active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc., where she is currently the co-liaison for the UNCF Walk, taking place August 20th, 2022, everybody, at Belle Isle. In her spare time, Ms. Esther enjoys teaching tap dance and volunteering with various youth programs throughout the city of Detroit. All right, then. Thank you, Taylor. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey,
You.
Taylor, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good,
Yes,
good.
beautiful,
First,
beautiful,
first, let
beautiful
me
day.
say thank you for agreeing to be on here. We like to showcase our young folks and the stuff that they're doing and the trails they're blazing.
Say that.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So here's the first question. What high school did you go to?
The Cass Technical High School.
Oh, that is.
Oh,
Absolutely. Class of 2013. We have our 10-year reunion coming up next year.
all righty, all righty. We always like to, put a little spotlight on that Cass Tech connection.
Yes.
And Howard University, HBCU.
Yes.
All right, the Howard University.
The Howard University.
So,
Absolutely.
so I'm gonna ask the first crazy question. What was
Okay.
life at Howard like?
Man, life at Howard was like being on a show every single day. Like, there was always something new and something fascinating happening. You never knew who was going to be on campus. I ran into Kirk Franklin at the bookstore. So
Okay.
that kind of gives you an idea of what was going on.
Yeah.
It was funny because I had friends who went to like U of M or State, and they would look at me like, "Why are you packing so many clothes?" I'm like, "I have to be prepared every single day. An outfit, something going on." I would wear heels to class. You ready?
Just in case.
In case. And I would also set my schedule because I played soccer.
Right.
So like soccer practice was 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So I would usually try to set my classes at like 11 so that I had time to get ready. So yes.
Right.
Oh, baby,
Right.
you were very active.
But not only did you play soccer though, but you were prominently featured on that big billboard in the middle of campus.
Yes.
So yes,
Yeah, how did that come about?
I mean, hey, I was the captain of the team.
Oh, okay.
And they asked for representatives, and so
What better than the captain?
I did not realize it was going to be that big.
Right.
So,
Right.
Okay.
and they put it up without telling us. Like, I just started getting texts and calls while I was like, look what they put up, and it was right before homecoming.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Look, I like your be ready so I don't have to get ready. I love that attitude.
Like, because we brought a bunch of young people from the church down there,
Right.
and they were going crazy over that billboard. And then when you came out and was showing them around on the campus, that that sealed the deal for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
you
Right.
brought a lot on there, that's for sure.
Yes, that's the goal always.
Right. So you were a political science major. What made you choose that direction?
Well, I danced most of my childhood.
Right.
And at some point, I'm probably going to say around like 13, I was like, I need to do something practical with my life. Like, I can't be a dancer. That's too much of a struggle. I needed like concrete, know what's going on kind of thing. So I was like, you know what? I could be a lawyer. That kind of stuff interests me.
Right.
And so political science is like, I'm not going to call it the default, but that's kind of like the traditional route you take when you're interested in going to law school. And so that's kind of how I ended up as a political science major. If I were to go back and do it again, I would probably do something like legal communications or something along those lines, because like the theory classes were not really for me. I was sold when I actually started taking like administrative law and like kind of more of the elective classes. So
okay. Well, I mean, it got you where you need to go. And did administration of justice as a minor, so
yeah, and that was very helpful.
Right. So before we go, well, we got to jump around, but I want to, before we get into your law thing, because you just get in there, you talked about how you danced, and we know that your little group, Tapping Souls of Detroit, I believe it was, you did a lot of performing around the city and other places. Tell us a little bit about that before we get off into the law aspect.
Okay, so when I was about 11, I think is when we created the group. So we had all been dancing at the same dance schools. We all started at Artistry in Motion. And then from there, Robert L. Reed, who was actually out of St. Louis, he would come to Detroit from time to time again and like teach classes. And so he saw us dancing, and he decided that he wanted us to be in his tap company. So his tap company again was still based in St. Louis, but we were kind of like the Detroit connection.
Okay.
And so through the St. Louis Hoofers, we were able to travel to various tap festivals, of course, in St. Louis. We also went to Chicago often. And then we just built a lot of connections that way. And so by the time we were ready to start our own group, we had nice strong ties with people across the country. While we were with the Hoofers, we also traveled to Germany.
Right, there we go.
So that happened when I was 9. So we were able to travel to Germany, perform all over, a whirlwind experience, as a kid. And like, I mean, we're performing for ambassadors' kids at their schools and all types of things. So it was amazing. But we formed our group, and then we started drawing on those connections that we had, bringing choreographers in. And so we were just able to still really hone our craft outside of the traditional dance school. So, yeah.
Right. And the church gave you quite a bit of opportunity to showcase your skills.
Yes.
as well. Right. That's good. And so that plays into you got down here in your spare time, you enjoy teaching tap dance. So you still teaching?
I still teach. I just taught yesterday. I've become the teachers that I used to always kind of like have a love-hate relationship with. I teach competition tap at Legacy Dance Studio in Southfield. I also teach some recreation classes, but I predominantly focus on the competition classes. So I teach from 6 to 16. I've also taught adult classes. It's just something nice to do to get away from
all the other stuff.
Right.
And the kids have a good energy, so that works.
Definitely.
Cool. Yeah. See, I want to get that fun stuff in here first, and we did. But I mean, this other stuff looks like this is kind of fun too. So you was a Daymond Keefe Scholar at Wayne State Law.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So Wayne State has a really, really nice opportunity for individuals who either graduated from Detroit Public Schools or HBCUs. And so if you are accepted into their law school, then you are automatically eligible for the Daymond J. Keefe Scholarship, which is full tuition.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really nice to have that opportunity. And of my class, anybody who qualified actually got the scholarship, but it's become a lot more competitive now, which is good. And I think that's what it's supposed to
Mhm.
create. Just like, bringing in a lot more diverse students. So
There you go.
Right.
Mhm.
So let me ask one more question, because you were the captain of the soccer team at Howard. Did they pay for you to go to school?
so that's a funny story too. I actually walked on to the soccer team.
Right.
I ran track at
At
CAS
Cass,
all
right?
Yeah.
4 years, and little did everybody know I was still playing soccer for Think Detroit Pal. So my senior year at CAS, I ended up developing asthma, which was really random. And so I was kind of like, I don't really want to run anymore, but the longer distance kind of stuff I could do. And so, I mean, that always helped me stay in shape for soccer. And so when I went to Howard, I was like, yeah, I'll look into playing soccer. So walked onto the team my freshman year, kind of learned the ropes and all that kind of stuff. And my sophomore year, I did get a scholarship.
Great.
So like nobody had a full scholarship for the soccer team, even though we were winning. No, it is what it is.
Well, it was not basketball or football.
Right, yeah.
Ooh, boy, you were dropping into some good water, I tell you.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful, because
I can do lots of things with my feet. That's right.
All right.
That is interesting.
And we'll move on. Okay, so you participated in the public service and judicial. Is that externship?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah.
So the public service externship was a program through Wayne State. They have several externships that you can participate in. It is a requirement to do a certain number of credits. So it's just like practical experience while you're still in law school. So I worked with Michigan Legal Services, and so it was actually at like a very poignant time, because Michigan Legal Services helps individuals in Detroit and around maintain their housing, get housing if they lose housing, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I actually started doing that in 2020. So a lot of people were in jeopardy of losing their housing and all that kind of stuff. And so I was able to like actually reach back into the community and kind of like hone my skills in the legal field by helping people maintain their housing. So like that gave me court experience, that gave me the opportunity to interact with other attorneys.
All right. So that was
nice. Yeah.
Right. So in your role there, you actually argued on behalf of these people?
Yes. So I was able to draft motions. I was able to interact with opposing counsel to negotiate and come to different deals for clients. So yeah. Michigan does have a court rule that allows law students to practice under supervision.
Right. Okay. Did you wear pink when you did it?
I did not.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I absolutely know what you're talking about. I did not go in pink.
All right. And so then you also served, well, let's see, then the Jaffe Transactional Law Competition, first runner-up.
Yeah. So me and my teammate, we were the concept of the competition is that you draft a contract and then you have to negotiate with the opposing team to see, like, you don't always get to a resolution, but the judges are watching to see how you negotiate, how you move while you're talking, what your tone is, like what your style is. And so my partner and I were able to achieve first runner up for the negotiation portion of the competition. So yeah.
All right.
Right.
That would see. We just going down the list here, because you got. And so then you were selected to be the inaugural Denise Lewis Fellow.
Yes.
What's that program about?
So Denise Lewis is a very prominent attorney in Detroit, and she decided that she wanted to give back, and so she took the time to actually come into Wayne State and talk to the administration about having this fellowship. And so this started, I want to say, the end of my second year. And so I was just in conversation with, at the time, it was our dean of students. And I was like, okay, I'll put in my application. I had just got done being vice president of BOSA. And so I was like, okay, let's see what we can do. And so I ended up getting the position. And from there, I was able to start a program that I titled Boom. So it stood for Building Ongoing Opportunities to motivate Black law students, or to motivate excellence for Black law students. And so, like every Tuesday we would have mentoring for the 1Ls. We would talk about their classes, talk about different strategies to maintaining information, how to read cases and all that kind of stuff. And so that's something that's been able to be maintained, and it's kind of become like a situation where somebody who was on the e-board from Balsa takes over that role. And so then it kind of connects the 3Ls and the 1Ls, and it gives it a good, gives people a good opportunity to really like stay involved with Balsa as a whole. So
okay.
1L, 3L, what is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, so 1L, you're a 1L your first year in law school.
Okay.
And you're a 3L your last year in law school.
Last year,
1L to a 3L.
Okay.
So like coming in, it's very difficult, especially for diverse students. I was coming from Howard, and then I'm going to Wayne State, and I'm in the middle of the city that I grew up in, and there were only 8 people who looked like me in my class.
Really?
So, yeah. So it was just like very eye-opening. I don't think I had culture shock, but it was just like a very eye-opening situation. So I knew that I wanted to at least pour into the people who came after me so that they were prepared as they were entering, and they didn't feel as uncomfortable in those types of environments.
Yeah. So you said now when you say that you said there were 8. Were they were a mixture of male and female, right?
Yes, 6 female, 2 male.
Okay. Yeah, because one thing we were talking a couple weeks ago. That's when actually we said, oh, let's have Taylor on here talk about this. There are a lot of young ladies that we relatives and friends of relatives that we know of are becoming lawyers now. And so it's been a
we just
like
had one
boom.
2 of them graduated.
Just graduated. A couple of my cousins just graduated, and I have another one in Ohio. She's about to take the bar.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's been, and it was funny, on a couple of shows ago, a young lady went to school with us. She was a travel agent or something for years, and then she decided she wanted to be a lawyer. So
she did.
So she went back to law school.
I think I want to be a lawyer.
Right. That's the cool part about law school, because it's not like you have to actually go into some particular major to go to law school. You really just have to have an undergraduate degree.
Okay.
So there are certain majors that are helpful, majors that are gonna build your analytical skills and your organization, time management, things of that nature. But it's kind of free game.
I never knew that. Yeah, I never would have thought it.
Right.
But yeah, she was like, I was a travel agent. I just wanted, and I said, I want to go to law school. I said, what?
Yeah, right. She for years just was doing that. She said, I don't like this.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
I want to do something that's really useful. So cool. Okay, so you clerk for Judge Drain and Magistrate Stafford. How did you get those positions?
Through the Wolverine Bar Association. Yeah. So the Wolverine Bar Association has a program for first-year students, and I think the Judicial Externship program, you're able to do that year 2L year as well. And so they essentially, for the Judicial Externship program, they pair students with federal judges. And so those kinds of clerkships are super competitive. Anybody from around the country is applying for these clerkships, but it's very important, again, for diverse students to have opportunities. And so Judge Roberts, who's also at the Eastern District of Michigan, started this program many years ago, and it has just allowed class after class to have these invaluable experiences to have on their resume and to build themselves professionally, because the federal court is no joke.
No.
You talk about decorum, like you walk in and you just feel it. Like, okay, you need to stand up straight, you need to walk nice and tall, and it's a stark contrast from a lot of the state courts, because the state courts are a lot more busy. And so like the federal court is usually very quiet. Everybody comes in, they have a lot of respect for the people around them, and rightfully so, because you just have to really take in where you are.
I know, and people's life is on the line for real.
Absolutely. And we're talking about some very serious
crimes. Yes.
So Yeah, that was an amazing opportunity to learn a lot of different facets of law, to see how federal judges think, to have conversations with them, to have conversations with attorneys who were coming in, and just really like, you know, learn how to be when you're there. So,
Okay, cool.
And you might be a judge later on. Who knows?
yeah,
You never know. You get with the right folks, learning the right stuff. You
Right.
know.
And so you, when did you start at Wayne State?
in 2018. So I did take a gap year,
Okay.
which I didn't acknowledge in my bio, but in my gap year, I was a substitute teacher in Detroit Public Schools.
Right.
So yeah, that was a full circle experience as well, because I was predominantly at Bates Academy, which is where I went. So I was able to teach alongside teachers who were there when I was there.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that something? I always be telling them the story to a Daymond. Like you said, he went to, what was the name of y'all school? Stevens Elementary School.
Okay.
Then, like you said, he went there, graduated, then he got married, had kids. His kids went there, and some of the teachers were still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sit up there and be there, and your kids that got married and had families, had babies, and you still teaching.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, they were there long enough for you to come back and teach with them.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Co-worker, so that's good. But you weren't going that long, though.
Not that long, but you know, still, we have some teachers who have been there, 25 years before I got there.
Right.
And so then you're talking about another 10, 12.
Right. Like you say, decades.
Yeah.
Very dedicated people, which is
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It is. And so you still active with Wolverine Bar and Oakland Bar?
Yeah, I have to be. They gave me a lot. I mean, I interned at the firm that I currently work at through Wolverine Bar. So Wolverine Bar has my heart.
Well, that's good. It's always good when we don't forget those that helped us along the way. And so, what was it like being in law school?
Being in law school, I would describe it as long days and short weeks. Like, you would just be sitting there reading and reading and reading. And like me and my friends, we had our little group chat, and I remember very vividly somebody put in the group chat 206. And I said, she was like, what do you think that is? And I said, that's the number of pages they think we're going to read for this class this week. 206 pages for one class, and I'm taking 5. And so it was very much an adjustment, but I realized that I will read for what I want to read for.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of long nights of like studying things that didn't make sense and thinking you understood something and going into class and coming out like, I don't know what's going on.
Girl, that's like me in the Bible. All the parables, all that stuff you have to decipher and ask for discernment on it.
And I mean, it's written in very technical terms, and you're digging for certain things like, what is this? What test applies? And you're trying to find it, and you don't really want to get past the first paragraph sometimes because it's like going over your head. And so really just trying to sit down and focus, and then one day it just clicks.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, finally. But I mean, it's kind of like that, like ongoing, because now as I'm working, I'll get cases where I'm reading through and I'll read through again. And I'm like, okay, I kind of know what's going on. And then I'll read through again. I'm like, that was not there before. So it just takes a lot of time and a lot of diligence and keeping people around you who you can have conversations with and really talk your thoughts out with is important. So
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine.
Just like the word. That's all I can say.
Because I don't know if you know, because I went back to school, and I'm on an accelerated program, and so each class is like 5 weeks in length, but it's a whole, but it's the equivalent of a whole semester.
Wow.
So like the class I'm in now, I think we have 4 books, and each class has 2, 3, 4 books, and then every week you got to write papers and you know those forms that you got to do. So it's like for me, that's a culture shock because I hadn't been in school in a couple of years.
Right.
But I can understand what you're saying about how going through those law manuals and that kind of research, how going through it the first time, like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this.
Right. And it's also interesting too because, like, you know, I would see people who did take a lot more time off and who had families going back to school and they're coming to law school, and I'm like, they're inspiring because I feel like us younger people are taking it for granted, but they're like, no, I have to do this at this time and I have to get it right because I have relying on me. And so
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that.
Right. Well, I mean, it's commendable though that you know, graduated from Howard in 17 and 4 years later you took the bar.
Yeah.
I guess you did take the bar last year, right?
Yeah, I took the bar last year. So, like, again, the traditional route is like you graduate in May and sit for the bar in July. So there are a couple of jurisdictions I know, like New York, who will allow you to sit for the bar while you're still in law school. I think you can do it like your last semester. So I do know people who I went to Howard with who passed the New York bar in January and then they graduated in May.
Oh, wow.
But Michigan is not like that. So yeah, I graduated, I want to say May 13th, and I started studying on the 17th.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that, what was that study like?
Oh my goodness.
It was grueling, but I was very appreciative of the fact that I had certain things that I didn't have to worry about that other people did. So I was a student rep for my bar prep company, so that meant I got my bar prep for free. Bar prep can be between $1,000 and $3,500.
Oh, wow.
Right. So you've already paid for law school, and now you have to turn around and pay for bar prep. So there's certain levels to this whole legal thing, right? You know, you have to take the LSAT to get in.
I know all the buddy.
Qualify to graduate, then you got to go ahead and take the bar. But yeah, so I didn't have to pay for my bar prep. So I was able to get my materials about a month before I graduated. And so just looking at my materials at first glance, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get all of this in my head? But the way my program worked is that I was able to, it was kind of like on demand. So it gave you a calendar of what you should complete in each day in order to be on track to achieve however many % of the program by the time the bar comes. Okay. And so I was kind of able to cater it to my schedule, which was helpful. And so I would say, like, I probably had the most balance when I was studying for the bar. It was stressful. There were times when I couldn't turn my brain off to go to sleep. I was just thinking, like, if I'm up, I have to study. Yeah. Or I would be thinking about, like, I don't know if I really understood that. I need to go back and watch it again. And I studied on my own for the most part, probably up until like 2 weeks before the bar is when I started talking to other people about this. Because I'm like, I don't want to confuse you. I don't want you to confuse me.
Right, exactly.
But yeah. So it was definitely a learning experience just in how I operate and what works best for me. So there were good things about studying and there were tiring things about studying. But overall, I mean, I was successful. So that's always good.
So so you passed first time, right?
I did.
All right, congratulations.
Very, very, like, I was like, oh my God.
I know. When we think about our age, we always think about your age. And we're like, well, they got that young brain. They absorbing like the babies absorb when they learning.
And it really is a lot of memorization. Yeah. But when it comes to the bar, so there's a multiple choice day and there's an essay day. And so the multiple choice, we know that there are 7 subjects that are going to be tested. And those are the subjects that are required your first year. Okay. So like you're kind of 2 years removed from them, but you pretty much know a lot about them. You just have to learn how to test with them. And so the answer choices are like, yes, because of this, yes, because of that, no, because of that. So you can't just get the yes part. You got to get the reasoning right as well. And so that's kind of where like that bar prep really helps you. But the essay part is a little bit interesting because you study 24 topics, but only 15 are going to be tested. So you don't know which 15.
Right.
And so you just go in hoping that your best ones are on there. And so, yeah, I think the first day we tested from 9 to 4:30, and the second day was 9 to 5:30 or something like that. But, yeah.
That's a day at work.
Right.
Then all dedicated to taking tests.
I know. Is the essay open book?
Unfortunately. Some jurisdictions are, but Michigan is not. Michigan says you gotta know.
Right. You know, because
I'm just saying.
But I guess because with law, it's not necessarily how much of it you know, but how much of it you know that you can find.
That's true too. Like a lot of times when people come to me with questions, like I have to go research. Like I'm not gonna know everything off like stored in a file in my head. I have an idea of where to find it, or I may have researched the same issue under different fact circumstances, so that could turn a different way too. But yeah, it's about what you can find, honestly.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to give an answer that not quite fits their scenario.
Right. And that's what's kind of different when it comes to practicing and taking the bar, because the bar, when it came to the essays, it was mostly about knowing the rule. So like, say there's 3 elements to a particular crime. You have to know the elements. You have to be able to recognize that that's the crime that's happening, and you have to know the elements and then apply it to the facts.
Okay.
That's pretty straightforward compared to what I was doing in law school, where we would have 3 pages worth of facts, and now we're trying to find every single issue that's within those 3 pages. And then on the bar, it's kind of like, okay, you have about a paragraph of facts. So you have to, if you know the rule quickly, then you could go ahead and start. So that's why it takes all that time to study, because you have to kind of like know it like the back of your hand. You only have 20 minutes for each essay.
How many minutes?
20.
So many, 20.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Alrighty then. Okay, so
yeah, we don't want to take the test now.
Yeah, I won't be no lawyer, no way. No, not. Maybe in my younger life.
I know. I love.
Very capable, I'm telling you.
I hated being on the jury. He loved it. I didn't like it at all.
I never got the chance. I'm sure I'll never get picked now.
I know.
Well, when I was younger, I loved it. Every time I went, I got picked.
He sure did. Every time.
Then the last time I actually went to that I actually was in the jury box, I was the next to last person, and I didn't want to be on that jury. It just occurred to me, I don't want to be on this jury. And they dismissed me. First, the lawyers said we good with the jury, and then one of them looked at me and said, "You can leave." And I said, "Thank you." And then there was only one other person left in the room. And I said, "Thank you," and I left because I just didn't want to be on that jury.
Yeah.
But all the other ones I was in, I wanted to be.
I see they sensed it too.
Right. You gave out the vibe, and they said, "Okay."
They normally don't care though.
Right. That's very true. I've seen people in there like, well, I have to do this and I have to do that. And they're like, okay, so why can't you be here?
Yeah. Well, if you got excuses, then they really want you there now because you got excuses. You don't have a real reason. So that's good. So
that's too funny.
So you took the bar, and you said you interned for the company you work, the firm. I said company, the firm that you're working for.
Yes.
And so how's life been so far? How long have you been with them?
So it's almost been a year. Yeah. I started Labor Day last year.
On Labor Day.
Well, the day after.
Day after. I was gonna say, wow.
Hey, listen, I have worked some holidays, so.
Right. So how's that experience been?
Things have been good. The learning curve after law school is there. But I think now I'm really starting to have a lot more clarity in like, okay, this is my role. This is how I can execute it efficiently. And most of it comes down to organization. So like we do have multiple cases that come at us. And so how can I be effective? By, first of all, knowing the dates. Now, I do have a legal assistant. She's very helpful. So she's putting dates on my calendar so I know when things are due. But also just like being willing to talk to people. So breaking down that barrier very quickly. Not really being scared to ask questions or ask dumb questions. I mean, they do exist, but at the same time, you kind of have to get those out so that you can get down to what's actually important in the case.
Right. They exist, but they're necessary.
Right. Yeah. And so as an associate, I'm always going to be working on a case with a partner. So obviously they have a lot more experience. But they're also dealing with a lot more matters than I am. And so they're kind of like high level with their ideas of the case. So it's kind of my job to like get into the weeds of it and really like sit down and talk through it. So I've learned that since September.
Sounds good. Ooh-wee. So, and then I want to get to this question. So, have you toyed with the idea in the back of your mind about the one day starting your own firm or your own practice or?
Very little. At this point, I know that my job is to learn as much as I can, and so I don't know. Like at the point that I feel comfortable. Would I go out on my own? Maybe. I have friends who are very convicted in it. So like for me, it's kind of just like, I mean, I guess I could, but I don't think it's like the first thing I would do.
Right.
Yeah. Like I know that I still do want to give more to my community through like my legal education. And so based on what I'm doing now, I don't necessarily have as many opportunities. I do try to take advantage of the opportunities that I have, like participating in expungement fairs and helping people clear their records and things of that nature. But
that's important, believe me.
I think there are some other things that I would like to do that would be a little bit more impactful within my community. So we'll see.
Yeah, and right now you're still learning. Yeah, so and getting that practical experience. So yeah, so that's good. So let me take a quick segue. Things my mother never told me.
Yeah.
Anything that you've encountered, because your mother is around all the time.
So she's very involved.
Very involved.
In our lives, and you know, that's not being a nosy part, but just she's always she's always been a hands-on type of person.
Yeah, she's so much so that everybody thought she went to Cass.
They still do. And
I still think she was a Cass student. I had to think about it for a minute, did she? But so is there anything that you discovered or encountered that she didn't tell you about, didn't prepare you for, or?
Yeah, there's one thing in particular that comes to mind. My mother never told me that I wasn't good at something.
Okay.
And so I had to learn that for myself. I'm like, okay, but I can at least do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean I didn't do it right? Like, I can do it.
Right,
and
that's
so,
right.
Like, it caused me to really, I'm not going to say focus on my flaws, but like when I felt like I wasn't doing something well, I would be confused. Like, what do you mean? And so I just kind of had to learn, like, you know, you don't have to stay in a box to not work on something or not do something. You know what I mean? Like, I always saw myself as somebody who was like multifaceted.
Yeah.
And I had to realize, like, you can still be that without doing absolutely everything.
Right.
Like, the best.
Yeah. Well, you know, somebody else, I can't remember who it was, and we done a couple episodes. Somebody else said the same thing. We had another young lady who said the same thing. And to be quite frank, it took me a long time before I found out it was something I couldn't do. Because I just thought, you know, I went at everything believing that I could do it. And there's no harm in that. The only harm is if when you run up against something that you find that it's hard for you to do, that you don't let that beat you.
Right.
And I'm looking at your bio, and we know that ain't the case with you. Well, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
you're quite resourceful. That's
Right.
all I can say.
Yeah,
I do my best.
and so with that being said, let's segue again. That was a good answer. I like that one.
Thank you.
Delta Sigma Theta.
Yeah.
Legacy.
The best sorority.
How's that been going for you?
It's been an amazing experience. First of all, to carry on the legacy that was set before me. I'm fourth generation. And so that was, to be able to achieve that and do it in the same season as my sister, that was kind of like a full circle experience. And I was able to be online with my best friend. Like,
Yeah.
It was just one of those experiences where, I mean, obviously that was something that was available in undergrad and didn't happen for either of us. And so for all of us to be able to do it at the same time, it was just like, wow. Like you could tell that was very well orchestrated. Thanks
Right.
God. And so, yeah, I've been able to do a lot. Like I said, expungement fairs have generally been through Delta.
Okay.
And being able to, again, reach back into the community, I have done a lot of work with Embody, which is our boys program, where we're able to bring in people who can sit down and talk to the boys, talk to them about what they're interested in. We kind of had an event during COVID where it seemed to give a lot of the boys an opportunity to discuss how they felt about what was going on. And that was something that people hadn't really asked them yet. Like, how do you feel as kids? You went to school on a Friday and then never again. You know what I mean? And so it was very interesting to hear their responses and hear them talk about their feelings, because for Black boys in general,
right,
they're not really talking about their feelings.
Right.
So I think that was something that was positive that came out of the COVID experience, is that people were a lot more aware of how kids were feeling and how kids were impacted by what was happening societally and internationally. So, yeah, that's been a very good experience for me.
Right, and I really want to applaud DST for even reaching out to young men. Because it's a sorority, it's not a fraternity. Right. but to take the time to reach out to young men and then touch in with their feelings. One of our guests was on here, Charles Primus. He works with an organization, Detroit Boys Rock.
Oh, nice.
And so he was on it talking about that. So he's trying to do things with young men, trying to get them exposed. And he's also dealing some couple things. We got a couple things on here. I don't know who this is because it's cut off. But anyway, your father said you didn't tell her you was going to be on, but he here. LOL. And then he also said he don't want to take the test either.
Listen, he watched me study. So
yeah, I know.
I'm sure he doesn't want to take the test. I took it for all of us.
Right.
I know, it's wonderful.
And Pamela Galloway said, how was the bar exam during the pandemic? Was it virtual?
Yes. So Pam is my sans.
Yes.
My line sister.
It was like 109 of y'all, wasn't it?
103.
103.
Yes. And yeah, it was virtual. And so that was very interesting because I took the bar in 2021, so we thought we were going to be past everything.
Right.
And so there were a few things that my class in general was looking forward to: in-person graduation, which didn't happen. And originally we were told that we were going to be able to take the bar in person, which also didn't happen. The Michigan Supreme Court said, nah, COVID's not over. It's going to be virtual. And so usually the bar is taken, like everybody in Michigan or everybody who's sitting for the Michigan bar takes it in Lansing. That's how it usually works. And so it's at Breslin Center, I think, at Michigan State. But when we did it virtually, you kind of had to decide where you wanted to take it, what spot was going to be helpful for you. So I ended up taking it at Wayne State in the library.
Okay.
And we had to download like software for our computers that locked us out while we were testing, which was not foreign to us because we had to do the same thing for law school. When when we went virtual for law school, they kind of had to very quickly come up with ways for us to take our exams. And so so we had the software, and then also, they were monitoring us, so we couldn't move. They literally said to us, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to wait till the module is over. You can't stand up, you can't move out of the camera at all. And so I know people, these funny stories that came out after the fact, who had also taken the exam at Wayne State, and they were in rooms where the lights were motion censored.
So
they're sitting there on their computers and the lights go off. You can't really do much. You can't say much. I mean, even one of the days I was in my room just taking the exam, and I know there was a sign on the door that said testing in progress. And one of the janitors came in through the other door, and I'm just sitting there like I don't want them to flag my little test.
Right.
Because after we took the test, they had to grade it, but they also had to review all the film, because if the software flagged it, they had to go back and make sure it was innocent.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So on top of worrying about trying to get these questions right.
And like you said, there's a will, there's a way in some of these cases, and some people,
Right. Yeah. I know several people who took it at home, like their families might have gone or been out at work or left for the day or whatever. Some people who went to hotel rooms, but I needed to know that my internet was not going to go out. I needed to know that, I would have air conditioning. It was late July, all that kind of stuff. And I was going to be quiet. And I think for me, being in a less comfortable environment helps me when I take tests. So taking it at home was just not going to be right.
Yeah, too comfortable. Way too comfortable. Yeah. Somebody on here put there were only 8 of us in my class too. I have no idea who this is. They're cut off.
Okay. Yeah.
But okay. Good for you.
Yeah. Luckily, I can say numbers have definitely increased at Wayne State Law. But it's definitely a trend throughout law schools. There are 200 law schools in the United States, and African Americans make up 5% of lawyers. So,
right.
Well, look, we tired of being wronged.
Okay.
We want to learn the law.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm trying to think where did I get this number from? The number of female African American lawyers nationwide. Do you know that number?
I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think we're nearing 3%.
Yeah.
So of the 5%, we're nearing 3%. So that also raises the issue of where are Black men? So it's we always talk about Black men, with the numbers falling for undergrad, but that directly impacts the pool of people who are eligible to even go to law school. So.
And I think that number though has occurred in the last 2 years where it got up to 3%.
Yes.
Because we were talking with somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they were saying that the number of they gave us they broke down the percentage of female African American lawyers nationwide, and I remember the 5% total, and I think at the time it was probably 2% or something. But so the number's been, but like I said, all the people, I got a lot of about 4 of them for sure who just either entered law school or graduated from law school.
Okay.
Yeah, in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
He got a high percentage rate of college students anyway in his family. Business owners, all that. Yeah, he got a lot. It's a lot. So that's why I'm not surprised at him going back to school and doing well. It does.
Yeah, I said I had to get something done because I didn't finish. And Wayne State is part of the reason why I didn't finish my degree. I won't go in. That's a sore spot. We had our differences. I'll put it that way. And so the question that I have for you is where do you find time to do all this extracurricular stuff?
You just have to write everything down and look to see where the pockets are. So I do use a planner that has times. So I'm I'm doing this at this time, I'm doing that at that time, and then I'll find I have time to do something right there. Now, is it the best way to carry on? Probably not, because becomes a situation where I fill in all of my free time. But I think that's also a product of my childhood because listen, I was always on the move as a kid, and so
Oh yeah.
that's kind of like a comfort spot for me. I am doing better at like finding time for myself, but I'm used to having a busy schedule, and so it doesn't bother me too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because I look at your mother, I was like, she being here, there, everywhere, and I'm like, she sees so many people do so many things. It's like, how does she
Hmm.
even find the time?
Yeah, because when I went to college, I mean, my time was pretty um, well managed while I was in college. But I think it was really the result of her managing our schedules, growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and, like always having us in something. So it's like it wasn't foreign to me to have to sign up for something or go to something because
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of how life was.
Right.
It definitely
And
was.
right. And so I'll say this for people who don't know,
Mm.
maybe listening in. Your father was the first guest on our podcast, very first guest that we had, and he's a reverend at New Prospect. He was a
Amen.
teacher,
Mm-hmm.
a graduate of HBCU,
Mm-hmm.
served in the Coast Guard,
Yes.
and so that's a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then your oldest brother,
Hmm.
he was a guest on our podcast.
Oh yes.
He's a playwright.
Yes.
He started his own production company, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. That would
Yes.
yeah,
Theater
and he
company. Yes.
theater company. Thank you, theater company, and he's an actor,
Hmm.
and so that's a lot.
Yes.
Your youngest brother,
Uh-huh.
one of the star players at Northern Illinois University on the football team.
Yes.
Your sister, now who does she work for now? I know she
Verizon. Yes,
still with
she's
Verizon. Okay,
marketing executive. Been there for
Yeah.
12
No.
years.
Mm-hmm.
it's been that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she started with Verizon as soon as she got out of college, and so
Yeah.
she's been there and just worked her way up, moved around.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. So we got to have her on and talk about that because I know she's been because she was in New York, she was in Texas.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, she's just all over the
Right.
place.
She started in Georgia,
And
and then
see,
they moved her to Chicago,
see.
then to Dallas, then to New York. Now she's back in Texas.
and so I say that to say that your parents had a busy, busy, busy life
Yes.
dealing with you, and then now your mother's running up the ladder and Mary Kay,
Absolutely.
along with all the other stuff she's doing. So
Yeah.
she's and
Your parents weren't slack.
right.
They definitely
And the only one
super sleuths.
and the only one of you that haven't graduated, that's not a college graduate, is the one who's in college now and in his junior year.
He'll be a senior in the fall.
Senior in the fall, right?
Yep.
But junior eligibility wise, right on the team.
On the team, yes. Actually, you know what? He might be a sophomore. You know, COVID
COVID gave him extra year.
So he got 2 extra years.
He had 2 extra years.
The red shirt and then COVID hit.
Right,
so,
then
yeah.
COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
So by the time he'll be graduated and still have another little bit left on the football team to see what he wants to do from there. So
Right.
So
Yeah.
juggling time, I can see where you would become pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely good at time management.
Right, and and to your point about writing everything down, one of the books that I'm reading right now, the author was saying, he talks about how ministers and church pastors always don't make time for their family, and they always just putting things on the schedule. He said what he does is that he literally writes on his calendar, on his schedule, dinner with the wife or the show or some with the kids, where he puts it on his calendar. And then when somebody asks him, well, can I see you, pastor, at this time? He looked, nah, I got an appointment scheduled at that time. Yeah. Because people will honor your appointments.
Right.
And so if you put it down so now you tell them, hey, I got this appointment at this time, they'll just find some other time.
Right.
So that's not a crazy idea that you have.
I know you just organized.
Right.
I wish I was that
too. Like even when I was studying, just school in general, when I knew I needed to remember something, I would write it down. So studying for the bar, I would watch my videos, and then the videos had worksheets that went with them. So I would fill in the worksheets, and then I would go back and copy everything off of the worksheet.
Okay, there you go.
That helped me.
So there's a tip for anybody who's struggling with time management.
No.
It's doable.
I'll write it down and still it's like, dang, I ain't do that. I didn't do that. Oh, I forgot to call this person. And then I'll give myself a reward if I say, well, I did get this and this done.
Exactly. Small victories have to be acknowledged.
No, but I'll be mad though. I wish I could.
So we're gonna get ready to let you go. But is there any other things other than work that you have on the horizon? I know you do a lot of youth programs and that kind of thing.
Well, I am working on August. Perfect. So I am the co-liaison for the UNCF walk for Delta Sigma, Detroit Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And so with that, we're working on, raising money, getting people to sign up for the walk August 20th at Belle Isle. And so a lot of that money goes towards scholarships for people in our communities, which, we need.
Right.
When it comes to going to school. I mean, a lot of those HBCUs, we love them, but their funding is low and they don't have as much to give. And so we want to make sure that we're raising money and making sure that our students are able to go where they want to go and do what they want to do. So they can hear on the podcast.
And I know I saw one of your events too on Facebook where you had a church and where y'all had given scholarship money to students.
Very important.
Right. So that's the big thing, the walk coming up.
Yes.
And how would they get in contact or register?
I have a link that I can send you if you want to put it on your Facebook, and I'll have it on my Facebook as well. And we also have a flyer just giving everybody information about it. But I mean, you can sign up to walk, you can just donate. It's up to you. But the goal is to raise money for these kids so that they can, like I said, achieve the goals that they have for themselves.
Okay. All righty then. Sounds good.
See, that's another thing. We talked about a lot of CAS people. We had a lot of Deltas on here too.
Yeah, we had a couple.
Yeah.
You know a lot of folks.
Right.
CAS folks.
Well, it's funny because one of your sayings actually used to work with me. Look, I can't think of her name now. She probably was the oldest person to cross on your line.
Miss Lucy?
Yes, there we go.
Oh, you worked with Miss Lucy?
Yes. Yes. At the IRS. Yeah. So because I was shocked when I saw the video when y'all did your little service ceremony program y'all did.
Yes.
And I saw her on the link. I said, really? Okay. So yeah.
Amazing woman. Amazing to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah. And she always, even when she was there, she was always willing to lend her time, help people move, as best she could move up the ladder in the service. So,
all righty then.
Without a doubt.
So,
but you had something else.
I was just listening to that. She had a whole wealth of information with all kinds of people that she comes in contact with. It's amazing.
So I'll give you the last words. Anything that you want to leave us with, leave listeners a thought?
The last thought. Just as you go through life, make sure that you are humble enough to give back.
All right.
Well said. That's the Lord's word. Yeah, that's a word from the Lord right there.
Without a doubt. Well, Taylor, we want to thank you for being on here.
Yes. It was marvelous.
Yeah, and knowing that your journey is really just beginning.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You're starting off on the right path.
I'll say the Lord is ordering your steps for real.
Thank you.
All right then, sweetie. Have a good evening.
Yep.
Virtual hug.
Yes.
All right,
have a good one. Say hello to your parents for us.
I will.
Bye-bye.